Welcome everybody back to BeamNG.drive, and today we're taking a look at the Bitron B2, basically the Citroen C2, but for legal reasons it's been called that. Made between 2003 and 2010, has a 1.5 litre inline-4 engine and steel wheels, because this is a base version. But yeah, this is quite an old mod, so I'm not expecting it to put the biggest of fights, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see what a lightweight, more everyday hatchback can do, and yeah, especially since, it's only front wheel drive, doesn't have all that much in the way of power, and yeah, is obviously not the most modern thing. So yeah, let's take it around the suspension area first and see how it deals with all of that, and yeah, for some punishment, and then we'll take it to the small, the over ramp, whatever it is called, and then we'll blow it up and then put it for a cinder block wall. We've already lost the coolant. One good thing about this car is it does tell you inside faulty cooling system, which I really enjoy. That's a little detail there, although the billowing smoke is more of a obvious indicator, to be honest. We're going to turn traction control off as well, because it seems to have been playing up with the car. Because obviously when a car's getting damaged the way that they can get damage on this, a traction control system can limit a car's ability to drive, because it's just not able to put the traction down, or it's putting too much traction down and it's through the power and it's just stopping the car from moving, or whatever else reason you can think of, really. Well, it's getting quite damaged already. Come on, put the power down. Yeah, not being the most powerful car in the world, it is sort of struggling. I think we're going to have to lift it off here. Let's pull you off. Yeah, I think because one of the wheels is quite damaged already. In fact, both of them look pretty damaged, to be honest. It's struggling to put any power down, and since it doesn't have all that much in the way of power in the first place, it really struggles with those kind of bumps and jumps. Massive camber on those front wheels now. Not helpful. Obviously losing power through the coolant as well, and that's not obviously going to help. Oh, and we've lost a wheel. So yeah, I figured it wouldn't put up the best of fights, and it really did not. As soon as those wheels started to, get an awful lot of camber on them, it wasn't able to put the power down due to a lack of grip. And yeah, that was obviously making us work the engine harder in terms of the coolant. But then that didn't matter at all, because we ended up breaking a wheel anyway. So yeah, front wheel drive cars like this are the greatest in terms of survivability, to be honest. But who knows, maybe it will be able to survive better on the rollover ramp. So let's see what happens. So yeah, being quite a modern car, should have a sturdier roof, but it's also got quite a shape that's susceptible to being rolled over continually. It's not like a muscle car or anything, which has quite a flat roof. It's got quite a cylindrical roof, so yeah, this might well roll for a while, to be honest. Let's take a look. Obviously those wheels are going to be a weak point, just like they were before. The rear right wheel is pretty much coming off, but the rest of the car's held up fine so far by the looks of things. The roof hasn't caved in or anything really. Still drive. Yeah, that rear wheel is looking a bit wobbly. The rest of the car has held up okay, to be honest. In fact, both rear wheels look a bit wobbly, so we may well be dragging our behind on this after this next rollover. Which I don't think I've actually had an issue with doing that kind of thing. Well, not had that kind of issue before, to be honest. So it'll be interesting to see how a car performs with no rear wheels. If that becomes the case, obviously. Which it looks like it's going to be. Well, we've ruptured the fuel tank, in fact, which is not helpful. Hopefully it will not set on fire. Which it has. Well, I don't think that's a completely safe thing to be doing, to be honest. The boot and the bonnet have opened up. Well, that's taken a hell of a lot more damage than it did last time. Quite apart from the fire, it's obviously, you know, taken a hell of a lot of bodywork damage. And the engine is now overheating because of the fire. But at least we can get one more in before we expire, hopefully. Oh, come on. Oh, no. God damn it. Well, that's a fail then, because the engine has obviously expired, and that means we can't not only go on the ramp, but we can't, you know, drive around or try to drive around after we've even gone on the rollover. So, yeah, that is a bit unfortunate. I am going to try and drag it on though, just for the fun of it, just to see how it would have dealt with a third roll, if it'll let me. Oh dear. Come back. Nope, nope, nope. Well, we've ruined it, because we've damaged it more than it would have done had it after a second roll. But yeah, there we go. That's pretty disappointing, to be honest. I would have expected it to at least last 3. But the roof held up, which is good, but obviously the fuel tank rupturing is not something that's all that safe. So unfortunately that is a fail, just like the suspension area. Okay, quite quickly on the suspension area, so let's reset it here and see how it deals with a pair of explosive barrels, 60 miles an hour. So obviously like this, like I said earlier, this is quite an old mod, so this might well not work very well in terms of stability, that is. Ooh. Yeah, that ain't good. That is not good at all. Not only are we putting massive amount of G-forces through whoever will be in the car, through the multiple flips in the air, but we are now coming right down on our front again. Ow. But not only that, the whole chassis and roof bent before we even landed back on the ground. Be quiet. So yeah, that's a fail, no doubt about that. That's easily one of the most damaged vehicles that we've had on these reviews, and in terms of this explosive test. Not many cars have had their roofs peeled up like that, and not many have had their dashboard turn into that either. So yeah, that's a fail, unfortunately. Right, let's get to the cinder block wall. Let's see how it deals with that. About get up to 60. Yeah, that's a pass. It needed one at least, didn't it, on this map? Yeah, that's thankfully a pass. So yeah, but that is unfortunate. Only 1 out of 4 failed really rather quickly on the suspension area. Expired its engine and blew up the fuel tank on the rollover ramp. was completely decimated by the explosive barrels, but it at least survived this, which, to be honest, I don't think any car has actually failed. But still, at least if you hit a cinder block wall, you will be fine. But yeah, let's get to the crash hall and see how this deals with 30, 40 and 60 mile an hour small overlap crashes. So yeah, here we are at the crash hall, so I'm not overly confident that this is going to do particularly well, but who knows, I might well be surprised. So yeah, let's see what happens at 30 miles an hour. Now, it should survive this fine, and it should in all likelihood survive the 40 mile an hour one fine as well. But the 60 is where the main concern is, but who knows, maybe it'll completely fail here as well. There's only one way to find out. Yep, that's fine. I think pretty much every car has survived 30 miles an hour, so no real surprise there. But yeah, it's nice to see that most of the car has stayed in one shape as well. So yeah, that's pretty good. So let's see what happens at 40. Well, it's definitely deformed a little bit more, no doubt about that. The roof has curled up and the door's bowed outwards, but the seat has stayed the same, the steering wheel has pretty much stayed the same. So again, I'm going to give that a pass, but yeah, it's not giving me the best hope for a 60 mile an hour impact, given that's a 40 mile an hour impact. So yeah, I took a rough beating there, so let's see what happens at 60. Oh, that's punishing. Definitely punishing. That door has flung right wide open. I have no idea what's happened to the steering wheel. It's seemingly staying in one place and the dashboard has moved forward. Are we going to do alright on this next impact? Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to say that's a fail purely because the door has blown right open, so your arms, your legs might well flail outwards. And yeah, if that's how the steering wheel actually reacts, then yeah, no airbag is going to deploy properly. So yeah, not a pass on that one, but quite frankly 30 and 40 mile an hour impact were pretty good, so at least that is some kind of saving grace. So yeah, let's get onto the highway and see how this deals with two 60 mile an hour impacts against similarly sized vehicles, and then one 60 mile an hour impact against one that really isn't the same kind of size. Right, so here we are at the highway. So yeah, we're going to go up against the Covet, which is pretty much like a 90s version of this hatchback front wheel drive. So yeah, let's see what happens between the two of them. No idea about the weight of this car, so unfortunately I can't be precise on that front. Oh! Is it just me, or did the Covet win that? I'm going to give the Citroen and the Bitron even another chance, and see if it was purely because of the angle that they were both at. I didn't get them completely lined up, and I'm just going to give this Bitron one more chance, because that was a devastating impact on our part, given we're the more modern vehicle. Yeah, that is really bad. The fact that a far older Corvette, which might well even be lighter than we are, has survived that really rather nicely. That has put up a really good fight there. Has gotten away with that fine. Yeah, the roof has barely moved on the Corvette. One door has slightly bowed out, but yeah, looks practically normal inside, to be honest. And yet the Bitron, well, one door has blown wide open. Another door is on the verge of doing so. The entire front has caved in. The roof has curled up. And yeah, the steering wheel once again is not offering any protection with its airbag. So yeah, that is a fail. It looks to me like the Corvette has used the Bitron as another crumple zone, to be honest, with the way that the Bitron has curled right the way back. So yeah, big fail on the Bitron's part there. So yeah, and an amazing effort from the Corvette there. Right, let's look at a slightly more modern equivalent in the form of a Chariot. Again, not sure if these are the same kind of weight, but I've gone for the lightest one possible. I imagine 375. The next one up is the 160. Yeah. Right, so let's see what happens when you put up a more modern front-wheel drive hot hatchback. Well, not hot hatchback, a hatchback against the Bitron. The Vivace has been a massively impressive car on previous reviews, so I imagine we're gonna die. Oh, ow. Oh, and we're gonna land on our nose as well? Or we're just gonna hopefully stay upright? Yeah, we are. Just about. Now this is how a modern car should react. As you can see, the car has taken the damage, and no one inside would have. Looks absolutely pretty much perfect in here. There's a bit of crumpling on the in the door sill there on the passenger side, but maybe that's just the way the design is. But regardless, yeah, that has done remarkably well, and that is how a modern hatchback should deal with a crash. This is not how you deal with a crash. Both doors now have flung wide open, and yeah, there's pretty much no chance of survival in this. And yes, I do know this is an old mod, and it's not exactly entirely accurate, but at the end of the day, that is, yeah, an horrific crash against a car that is similar to it. So yeah, get the Vivace if you're after a more safe vehicle. So yeah, only bad news for this for the Bitron now that we're going to go up against a car that isn't anywhere at all compatible. And we're going to go with not with a bus. That would be way too mean on the Bitron. Go with a Gavril. Yeah, we'll go with a D-Series D25 lifted. We have reviewed this, but it was a pretty good car as far as I'm concerned, even despite it not being maybe the best in terms of safety. So yeah, let's see what happens. Big old American pickup truck versus a tiny little French car. Nothing can go wrong here. Ow! Oh. Yeah, the Gavril basically just rode over the engine, slammed into the windscreen, and curled up everything pretty much. Pretty much the only things that are fine with this car now are those rear wheels. Can't even get off of the Bitron. Well, the Gavril has gotten away with that fine. It has slightly bumped its, bent its bull bar, slightly bent its bumper, and lost a tyre. That is it. Everything else is pretty fine. So, oh, and the radiator, but you know, that's a foregone conclusion with these kind of vehicles. So yeah, that's fine. But this is not, very much not fine. I'm actually surprised that it's still trying to move, or able to try and move. But then again, that just shows how much of the front of the bottom of the vehicle hasn't taken any of the forces there. The chassis, the drive line, the engine really hasn't been affected by that crash. It's purely the windscreen, the roof, the doors, one of which has fallen off and landed all the way over here. Hello door, you were supposed to be attached to the car. And yeah, just put all of the forces through the weaker parts of the car. So yeah, that is a devastating crash and not a particularly great car. 3 out of 10. 1 on the grid map, as it failed the suspension, the rollover arm and the explosive barrels. 2 in the crash hall, 30 and 40 were fine, 60 was not, and failed all 3 here. So yeah, it might well be down to the fact it's an older mod and therefore not got the best, design behind the mod, but regardless, yeah, a complete fail. Quite frankly, look at those seats, they're all over the place. So yeah, nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.